once. You're free to sparkle.
Oh, it's time to grab your glasses, family. It's time for us to get started. I'm so excited. Sitting up here, Kid Magic Rock. Shots out. Here we go. Drink your water. Come on, drink your water, but first, take your breath and drink some water. Take your breath. Take your breath and drink some water. Take your breath. Take your breath and drink some water. Take your breath. Drink.
Solving of our problems.
Or should I say, breathe, then drink. Take a breath.
See it for me.
Grab your glass for some water. Grab your glass. Lift your pitcher of that water. Or bottle. Get that pitcher of that water. Simply pour some water. Drink. Or should I say, lift, pour, then drink. Now move your body and drink some water. Move your body and drink some water. Move your body and drink some water. Bam. Just move your body. Drink.
You surely well intended.
Drink, or should I say, move,
that energy.
Now raise your glass and toast your ancestors. Raise your glass and toast your ancestors. Raise your glass and toast your ancestors, fam. Just raise your glass. Drink.
Having confidence that he will give us guidance.
Drink, or should I say, raise your toast, then drink.
It's working.
Take your breath and drink some water. Take your breath. Lift and pour yourself some water. Move your body, drink some water. Move it. Raise your glass and toast your ancestors. Breathe, lift, move, toast. But remember to stay healthy. Remember the 4 pillars. Breathe, drink, eat, move. Drink half your weight in ounces. Eat a culturally appropriate diet. Behave. Take your breath. Come on. Lift and pour. You can do it. Move your body. Come on. Toast your ancestors. Drink up. Come on. Drink it. Come on. You can do it. Come on. Drink it. Lift it. Drink it. Come on. Drink that healthy air. Drink. Drink your water. Take your breath. Lift and pour. Move your body. Come on. Toast your ancestors. Drink. Drink your water. Drink. Come on. Drink your water. Take your breath. Lift and pour. Come on, pour it. Move your body. Move. Toast your ancestors. Drink. What? Drink your water. Drink. Drink your water.
Everyone needs their phone. For those music and videos, all the latest. Our body is exhausted. And anytime it
I praise God as I rock the mic, come on. I praise God as I rock the mic, say what? I praise God as I rock the mic, come on. I praise God as I rock the mic. What situation is
What do you
pitiful?
thinking?
Blackness is critical, defining our race and mind, not political. I'm strong with force to keep us on course. Using the pyramid builders as my main source. Our children will guide us, with ignorance behind us, removing the shades that once had blinded us. So up to the crossroad, straight for my black hole, communing with brothers, straight for my Mac code. I step in as God, with the mic as my ride, helping to raise the black children, they go from a pride. I enter, I'm a tap, exit the shimmer tap. Now that you know what's up, make sure you watch your step. I rise with the sun, it's a new day begun. Off the walk on my path, in search of the one. I'm looking for unity, not for no casualties. For working together, we step for humanity. I was who was given. I'm 47 because I know and realize that she the two gates of heaven. Black woman, I love you. Black sister, respect the D. Reach deep down into yourself. Save our community. A labor's on our side. I love what blessings ride. Ride will rise with you. Y'all will not criticize. Jesus will bless thee. It's part of the prophecy. Look deep into your soul. Truth will set you free. The end is in full effect. Don't be a fool. Black. To a spirit check. I praise God. I praise God. I praise God. I praise God as I rock the mic. Come on. I praise God as I rock the mic. Say what? I praise God as I rock the mic. Come on. I praise God as I rock the mic. I'm going inside to take a look at all the things I couldn't see in a book. Born on this planet in a mortal mind state. Mission civilized is a 348. Communication with the skill to build. Power to define as I direct my will. To save my people on the planet Earth. I got to go to the underground first. Listening to my elders as I reach my youth. Speaking to elders as I speak the truth. Following the order that's ordained by God. With my head as my antenna and my mic as my ride. Being a good shepherd, I'ma feed my sheep. So I lay my body down so no wolves will creep. That's why I praise God. I praise God as I rock the mic. Come on. I praise God as I rock the mic. Say what? I praise God as I rock the mic. Come on. I praise God as I rock the mic. Say what? I praise God as I rock the mic. Come on. I praise God as I rock the mic. Say what? I praise God as I rock the mic. Come on. I praise God as I rock the mic. Big, I want to send out some shots to my Baba Kelsey, to all my brothers and my sisters in Casa and Underground Railroad. I'd like to send some specials out to my brother Water, my brother Seven Guests, and with that I say hold tap.
We'll be starting in a minute.
Excellent. I say, on the control.
Well, we're trying to get it there.
Okay, if you don't have weak for us, if you don't have to give you us.
Women, but the most important goddesses were black, not just for the African now in the civilization of the Greek. The Greek was so profoundly affected by the Africans that the goddess of chastity was a black woman, Artemis. The goddess of wisdom was a black woman, Minerva. The goddess of beauty was a black woman, Diana. And many of their great mythological figures which were critical to the vision of history, the history of the Greeks in the Odyssey. The woman who draws, who has the power to draw Odysseus and all his crew into her, is Circe, who is represented as a black woman with African features on the Greek vases. The woman who helps Jason win the golden fleece is a black woman, Medea. The woman who marries Perseus, the Greek hero, is
having conflict to do with the sky. The mastery of the signal from the heart, through the mind, from the heart, through the mind, from the heart, from the heart, from the heart. Oh,
The African Heritage Diet consists of 6 lessons. Lessons where we reach back to our African heritage to find culturally appropriate health and wellness practices that help us to move forward as people of health in mind, body, and spirit. Lesson 1 is herbs and spices. Lesson 2 are greens. Greens is the widest part in the base of the African Heritage Diet food pyramid. So many greens should be consumed. And as you move up the pyramid, those are the things that you consume in lesser proportionate amounts. Whole grains. Lesson 3. Steaming rice. Lesson 4. Tubers and mashes. Lesson 5. Lesson 6. Fruits, vegetables, and a healthy lifestyle.
They say we came this way.
What are we? What are Africans? Geniuses. Gods and goddesses of the universe.
Brother, they say it ain't just way.
What are we?
I am a genius. My ancestors were geniuses. My ancestors have made me a genius in all that I think, say, and do. I must declare myself a genius. I am a genius. Whenever I am myself, I practice my geniusness and do great things. All my thoughts, choices, and deeds must express my geniusness.
I am a genius. My decisions must always be in the best interest of myself, my family, my people, and my God. Only then will I and everyone I know that I am a genius.
I am a genius. At all times, my geniusness must reflect my culture. My geniusness must serve my God. My geniusness must make me be one in love and harmony with my family. My geniusness must protect my
eats
people.
ripe fruit, or the patient woman eats ripe fruit.
Yes, at all times I must demonstrate excellence because I am a genius.
Here we go in 3, 2, 1. Peace family, we are up, we are live right now on the journey. Just want to make sure I got the right screen up. Elder Daryl Green is on the screen, so are you doing the opening? Now, if you're not speaking, please mute your mic. This is why I wanted to. If you're not speaking, please mute your mic.
Elder Tony is going to do our opening drum call.
I don't see anything. Margarita, those numbers. I don't see nothing. Nada.
Everyone, please mute your mic if you're not speaking. Right. Tony.
Let me just clarify.
Drum call.
Elder Margarita, you called in on the phone, so you're not going to see anything. You're only going to be able to hear. You go to the Facebook page, and it's streaming live. Anybody else that want to see? Okay. Anybody else that wants to? Bye. So we're about to start. Elder Tony, are you ready? If you're not speaking, please mute your mic. Elder Tony. All right, Elder Dale Green. You're going to have to go. You're going to have to do the drum call again. Elder Tony. Let me see if he on here. Uh-oh, he fell off. Can somebody go on and simulate us a drum call? Or there we go.
We're all here.
Oh, here you go. Here you go.
Elder Tony, this is all I know.
Go ahead, Elder Tony. He on. Elder, you got to turn on your mic, Elder Tony. You got to turn on your mic, Elder Tony. Your mic is not on. Try it now. Okay, he playing, so we got the energy. Drum call is over.
Welcome to our first day of our new comedic new year. We're glad that everyone is here. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here with us today. Again, welcome. We'll move now to playing our national anthem. Can we do that, Nation Builder Hot Tim?
We certainly can. Now, but y'all won't be able to hear it, but they'll hear it out in the family. Will hear it. Lift every voice. Hold on.
Okay.
There we go. There go the words. It's popped up on the screen. I'll let you know when it's over.
Okay.
So we
Elder
did the Black National
Darrell,
Anthem.
you do our pledge.
Huh?
UNIA pledge.
Oh. Here's to this flag of mine, the red, black, and green. Hopes in its future bright, Africa has seen. Here's to the red of it. Great nations shall know of it. Red blood shall flow of it. Historians shall write of it. Great flag of mine. Here's to the black of it. 400 millions back of it. Destiny depends on it. The red, black, and green of it. Old flag of mine. Here's to the green of it. Young men and women dream of it. Face shots and shells for it. Maidens shall sing of it, waving so high. Here's to the whole of it. Colors brought in pole of it. Pleased is my soul with it. Regardless of what is told of it, thanks to God and God we forgiving it. Ashe.
Ashe. Brother Hatim, Nation Builder Hatim, with the libation.
Okay, all right. So, family, here we go. Y'all know how we do it here at the Journey. Grab your glass. I don't know if y'all can see me. I kind of got my screen blank, but y'all know we do the daily toast here. So, family, what we want to do is we want to recognize the creator by whatever name you choose to call that creator, and we lift up our glass and we say the words of the word of power, Ashe. From there, we move on to our personal ancestors, remembering those individuals that came before us and laid the foundation for us. We want to remember our grandmothers, our grandfathers, our aunts and our uncles, our friends and our cousins that poured into us so that we could pour into the world in the way that we are pouring today. So we want to lift those names up. So if anyone has any names that they want to share today, right now is the time.
Uncle Charles, Aunt Velma, and Carrie, Uncle Walter, Virgil and Nellie Keechler, Kyle Wade, Uncle Snoopy, Aunt Dolores, Aunt Willa Jean, Uncle Starlin, Uncle Charles, Aunt Mary.
Virginia McQuaid. Virginia McQuaid, my mom, Sidney Winbush, my dad, my sister Tawana McQuaid, my brother Clarence Felton Winbush, and my sister Loretta Thomas Winbush. Ashe.
Ashe. Ashe. I go with Miles Brown, Ms. Ann, Robert Texana Davis, Herman Brown Sr., Rosalie Tilly, Georgia William Walter, Christopher Gaston, Aunt Lena, Uncle Chris, Aunt Fiend, Cleveland, Geneva Brown, Margaret Ellis, Wash Ellis, Cecil Ellis, Alvaro Brown, Gina Gaines, Herman Brown II, Barbara Twiggs, Wash Ellis, Katie Ellis, Nikki Ellis, and Jamon Jones, Jeremiah Tappan, John Fallard, Montague Pittman, No More X, Pat, Rob Malika Fakur, Dr. Marianne Williams, Kojo Kamau, the Farmer, Elder Millie Dixon, Tony Clark, Pastor Yusef Weston, Elder Ajani. Woo! Anybody else? Man, that feel good. Any other ancestors?
Ralph Jackson, Irma Lawson, Ellen Lane, Shirley Potts, Stanford Lawson. Ashe.
Ashe. Any others? Don't be shy, because they wasn't shy when it came time to feed you. They wasn't shy when it came time for them to lift you up. All right, let me check. Let's check our timeline to see if there's any names that anybody written down for us. All right, so we're gonna move on from our personal ancestors. We're gonna move to this present moment. We want to lift up our glass to this present moment. We want to bring as much energy in this moment and get words of power from the speaker. We want to celebrate this moment because in this moment is our power. In this moment is where we have the opportunity to make the changes. And we lift up our glass and we say, Ashe. From there, family.
Ashe.
Thank you. From there, we move on to our future generations. We toast our children that are here. We toast our children that will come. We have always been here and we shall always be here, especially if we handle our business in the present moment. So we lift up our glass for our children, our children's children, because we are fighting for their space and time and their right to exist. And we raise our glass and we say, Ashe. From there, we move on to all of our relations, and we lift up our glass and we salute and we say Ashe. From there, we move to, I call this that selfish toast. This is for those of us that's out here doing this work. Those of you that's doing this work, those of you that's raising these families, those of you that's doing an excellent job with these babies. I want you to take a moment for yourself while we call the ancestors in here. We got the Creator in here with us, even though they always here. But we're conscious of it in this moment. We want to lift up our glass and we want to salute. And we want you to ask for what you need in this moment to move towards your greatness. And we lift up our glass and we say, Ashe.
Ashe.
From their family, last but not least, I want to toast the most magnificent, the most beautiful, the most uplifting, the most inspiring individual in the room. I want to toast each and every last one of you that are here, and those of you that are out there in internet land. I want to lift up the glass to you. With that, we say Ashe, 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 Ashe.
Ashe.
Elder Tony.
Son run with his mic.
Lighting of the candles.
He can hear us, but we can't hear him.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll try and do justice by what you do, Elder Tony. Nina Washa, Nshuma Hu, Gina La Umoja. I light the candle in the name of Umoja. We're lighting the candle now in the name of Umoja. That is Nina Washa, Nshuma Hu, Umoja. Elder Tony lights the other candles as we go forward toward our Kwanzaa at the end of the year. Is that okay, Elder Tony?
He's still trying to talk. Unmute your mic, man. Oh my God.
Okay. Well, we'll go on. Elder Phyllis, can you do? Thank you, Elder Tony. Elder Phyllis, can you do the evocation for us, please?
Okay. The voice calls forth the Great Spirit, the creative power of the universe that gives and sustains all existence forever. Let us adore a moon who, though hidden, is the source of all life, all power, and all health. Let us hail Re, the sun, the highest visible manifestation of spirit, that rises on the eastern horizon as Kepra, the self-creating one, who shines down at midday as Re, the eternally creating one, and who goes down on the western horizon as Atun, the complete one. Let us revere Ptah, the nature and form creating one. Let us call Wasir, to whom we give our dead for life everlasting. Let Yehuti, nature of good speech, intelligence, and writing, teach or inform us. Let us worship Nut, the sky, the divine mother, who stretches forth from horizon to horizon, giving birth to all that comes into existence. Let us obey Ma'at, divine sister, who imbues the universe with order, harmony, balance, truth, justice, righteousness, reciprocity, and love. The voice calls forth the ancestors, who abide the spirit and the spirits of our yet unborn children, who will carry forth our seed for eternity. Now let this community unite in the celebration of the African spirit and the rededication to another cycle of Ma'at, right speaking and right doing. Ashe.
Ashe. Thank you, Elder Phyllis. Elder Clifford, can you come on with our announcements?
Yes, on page 8. They are number one service will be September the 13th and October the 11th. So, second Sunday at 11:30 a.m. here on this line. The Divine Conversation will take place August 20th and September 27th. So always fourth Sunday at 11:30. Queen Mother Moore celebration took place on July 27th at 6 p.m. That's past, but the prelude and we have the prelude New Year's celebration August 1st through the 2nd. That is today. The Kemetic New Year's actually kicks off August the 3rd through the 8th. Marcus Garvey celebration will be held August 8th through the 11th. And Tawi Ascot Study Group is held every Friday at 6 p.m. on the Black Line. Tawi History Group is held at the same time. And the Meadow Nature Study class online is Tuesday at 8 p.m. Our staple announcements are the Tawi Ascot Study Group, Tawi Association for the Study of Classical African Civilization, known as ASCAT, seeking members from 6 to 8 p.m., traditionally at APDS. And Elder Mariva's book, So You Want Liberation, can be purchased through Dewati Books. And Perhank, sign up for Perhank's service committees. They are music, talent, food, marketing, fundraising, Watoto, and facility. Contact Elder Luna. And on page 10, please, as always, support our Black businesses. And we also have 4 Earth Days today that we want to acknowledge. First one is Nation Builder Gye-Nyame, which is on today, the 2nd. Elder Nation Builder Natasha Odie is on the 4th. Elder David Moore is on the 21st, and Elder Barbara Wright is on the 26th. There's one anniversary we have listed. That is Elders Roy Pianki Zumbi and his wife Pamela. Theirs is on the 6th. Are there any other announcements from the will of the group that anybody would like to bring forth?
I for that conference. That's coming up August the 8th. And just to let you know, tomorrow, August the 3rd, what is the Kemetic New Year? Elders Orpianke Zumbi and Elder Clifford Bowie will be doing that presentation. We'll be using the same media that we're on now. We'll be also doing on August the 4th, watching the movie The Great and Mighty Walk. Following that on the 5th with the Kwanzaa at the Park Playground for our youth and young people. That's being hosted by Elder Tony. We're going to have self-care presentation on August the 5th by Nation Builder Azuri Blair. And then we're going to close out the 5 days over, which I think is Uryu Rimpet. That is with being at the Swinging Bridge. We'll have a Raw Rising. We'll get the Kwanzaa Park. And then we'll end that at the park across from Morrison. Then you'll get more information in more detail. But those are the things that are coming through. August the 8th, we have a number of different things going on there. The Ancestor Celebration, there's a Tai Chi workshop, there's a Sankofa, the egg, the 3rd generation. All of that is going to be occurring on the 8th. So there's plenty of things as we bring in our Kemetic New Year.
Permission to speak.
My only Yebo.
So we also have featuring from the 3rd to the 7th. We will also have some of our young people presenting. Tomorrow, you will hear from one of our young geniuses. Excuse me. Tomorrow, we will hear from one of our young geniuses, Levon Cobb. That is Navita's grandson. For those of you who don't know, And he is a treat to listen to. So stay tuned, family, because after him, we're bringing more to you. I'm out.
I see. Any other announcements? Okay. Elder Darrow, and then followed by Elder Clifford. Elder Darrow, would you give our intro to the Praise to the Moon? And then after that, we'll have Elder Clifford doing the Praise to the Moon.
Ashe. Whatever our understanding of spirituality is should correspond with what the ancestors have told us, which means we must always refer back to the ancient texts. And when we read what we call the praise to our moon, we find three very important affirmations. One, everything that exists is connected. Two, we understand that the nature, which is the life force, is inside of us. And three, there's no real death. Everything is destined for the cyclical process of transformation. Now let's hear what the ancestors have to say.
Once again, on this end, y'all won't be able to hear it. I just gotta find it. It's Praise to a Moon, right?
Correct.
All right. Y'all won't be able to hear it, but they'll be able to hear it on the other side.
Okay.
All natures are three. It has Ray as a base. Its body is Ka. The cities of earth are established in perpetuity. Waset, Unu, and the city of the White Wall for eternity. A message was sent from the sky and heard in Unu, and repeated in the city of the White Wall by beautiful existence to be set in an official documentation Jews right concerning in the city of the moon, which possessed their property. The matter was answered in Waset. A statement was issued. It shall belong to the Nile. All that came forth from its mouth, the moon's mouth, and the measures were established because of it, according to what was decreed. A message was sent. It shall say and give life. Life and death come from it for everyone, except the next. A moon plus ray plus Ptah, total 3.
We back up.
Okay, thank you. Elder Darrow, we usually do an intro to the African principles. If you would.
Okay. The one constant that we find in African deep thought is the understanding that there really is one energy in the universe, and that this energy created me. Quantum theory tells us this source is in the inner core of every individual and everything else that exists. Therefore, humanity must live with harmony, balance, and order in their lives in order to maintain existence, or what we call life. So to the African, everything is connected. Everything is one. I leave you with an example of how this African deep thought has never left us. When Muhammad Ali was asked to recite a poem in as few words as possible, he replied, "Me, we." Ashe.
Ashe. The principles of the Tawi Ankh or Columbus is committed to 12 principles that we talk about each month. The one for today, since this is our new year, our beginning it is number one, the recognition of the one creative spirit of the universe, a moon, or the hidden one. It is the all. Again, the recognition of the one creative spirit of the universe, a moon, or the hidden one. That's the principle for this day, this month. So now we're going to our featured speaker, our Sabayet, our wisdom message. Yesterday, we had a wonderful treat given by our sister nation builder, Reba C. Kelsey, MD. If you didn't hear it, go to YouTube and search on Gye-Nyame Journey, and you can hear her message from yesterday. Today, she's bringing us our Sabayet message of being, I didn't write that correctly, being healthy and wealthy. Nation builder, sister, friend, come on, join us. Dr. Reba C. Kelsey, medical doctor, family practice, teaching at Child of Columbus, Ohio. The great line she comes from, it's on. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Asante Sana. So, thank you. Imhotep family, may I have permission from the elders to proceed? Thank you, thank you. Thank you. As I open, I will begin as I began yesterday, giving thanks to the Creator for the creative force that continuously guides and sustains us. Giving thanks to my parents, Mariba and Nyambe Kelsey, for their continuous love and guidance, and for setting me on a path that was based on a strong foundational understanding of who I am as an African. And giving thanks to my mamas and babas from the African Center, some of whom are now elders in the Tawi village, for your hand in raising me, along with my parents, in a way that made community and family very clear to me. I want you to know, as I reminded you yesterday, that I am very clear and I credit you wherever I go for the hand that you played in my growth and development. And I know that some people weren't able to get on early yesterday, at the beginning of the broadcast yesterday. So I'll also repeat the fact that just because I think it's so important for you to know this, that I remind the students and the residents who I teach that the truth is always enough, and that demonstration of good character is as important, if not more important, than the medical care that we provide, that those are among the lessons that you taught and demonstrated for me. So your work and your reach extend far beyond what you may know, and I am grateful for that. So today we'll continue with the theme of being healthy, wealthy, and wise. And given that the theme was inspired by my father's book, Being Healthy and Wealthy, A Process for African People's Transition for Life, for growth and development, then I will use it as a central text for our discussion today. And my hope is that as we consider the principles that are discussed in the text about health, wealth, and wisdom at each stage of life, that we will gain a more full understanding of each and find tips that we can apply to our lives. So I will begin, as Healthy and Wealthy does, by orienting us to some context. The impact of the Ma'afa, which systematically separated us from our traditional values, beliefs, and ways of being, has made this discussion in this time necessary. But I will not mention it again in these few moments that we have together today, because I think that it is important for us to have some discourse that is internally focused on the work that we must do for ourselves. So let's just suffice it to say that we are in an intermediate period, a period of disruption, And like the ones that our ancient Kemetic ancestors found themselves in between the golden periods, and just as one that they found themselves during the golden periods, and just as they returned to Waset to reestablish culture and to realign with Ma'at and to return to greatness through a Rahimi Masu, or a rebirth, we must also return to Waset and to a traditional set of principles that will free us from our current state, as Baba Jetty would say, or Dr. Jacob Carruthers would say, would get us out of this mess that we're in. So I'll submit to you that the process outlined in Healthy and Wealthy is an embodiment of African-centered principles and practices and ideals that provide a path towards a solution for us. And the process that's described in the book can be likened in many ways to our return to Waset. So if it is all right with you, then we'll spend a few moments, a little bit of time in Waset this morning. As I do this, then I'd like to discuss again health, wealth, and wisdom, and I'm going to use the following definitions of each as we walk through the text. So health, I'm defining as oneness of mind, body, and spirit. Wealth, I am defining as strength of the collective and our spiritual power, or Heka. And then wisdom, I'm defining as the ideas and thoughts that are principle-based, spirit-guided, and experience-informed that drive the counsel that one provides and the decisions that one makes, or the actions that he or she takes. So again, wisdom then is based on African principles, is guided by spirit, and is formed by past and current experiences, along with a vision for the future that is manifested through word and deed. As additional grounding, I would emphasize that the text describes a dynamic process that requires that each member of the community understands his or her role in our quest to build for eternity. And I'll remind us that in the teachings of Ptah-hotep, as Dr. Carruthers discusses in his teachings, it discusses related to the teachings epilogue in his book Medu Neter, Divine Speech. He quotes from the teachings of Ptah-hotep that there are several verses that emphasize, or he discusses them by saying that there are several verses that emphasize the wisdom of the educational process. The interest of the student is spoken to at the outset. If you listen to or obey my sayings to you, all of your plans will be foremost. And he goes on to say that this is not only because they are ma'at, or truth, but also because the people accept their wisdom. Therefore, if the student lives up to the maxims, he will enjoy life for many years, and his memory will remain for many more. Furthermore, the sayings are good. Indeed, they are made for the good. Thus, when a man teaches, he speaks to the future. Thus, an educated person is known for his knowledge, his good service, his deliberate, articulate, and forthright speech, and his clear vision. So hearing is useful to the attentive son because listening or obedience brings about goodwill and leads to a sound old age. So you hear in that discussion really a development that is occurring both from the standpoint of the young person who was learning, and then from the older person who is inferring wisdom upon the young person. And as the young person hears and acts out the wisdom that he or she has learned, then he or she then is able to develop into sound old age. And so that's really what this text, Being Healthy and Wealthy, embodies. And so we'll talk about that through our discussion. So again, we will move forward as we discuss health, wealth, and wisdom in the context of each of the stages of life. So as you remember, health was the framing as oneness of mind, body, and spirit. So on the stage of dawning day, as discussed in Being Healthy and Wealthy, which is the preconception to year one of life, this is the time during which preparation for conception occurs through the family maintaining a healthy diet and a peaceful environment. In the book, it discusses that the importance of avoiding direct or indirect negative experiences, ideas, and people, smoking, alcohol, drugs, unhealthy diets, and overexertion are all things that are warned against. And then it discusses and encourages proper rest and exercise during pregnancy, and encourages breastfeeding as an essential nutritional source for the infant. So this is, health as it is manifest during dawning day or preconception to year one. As we move forward then to daybreak, or the ages of 2 to 5, this is a time during which the sense of love, safety, and security are fortified, and during which great attention is given to developing conscious identity. So exercise is taught through play, and movement can be instructive through playing games that teach the child about parts of the body during early portions of this stage, and through exercises that promote balance and coordination as the child progresses through this stage. Healthy diet continues to be reinforced primarily through example at this stage, and through the foods that are prepared for the young child at this age. Particularly as we approach towards the end of this stage of development, there are also some lessons around counting and measurement that can be introduced through helping to prepare healthy foods. So this is these are among the ways that health is manifest during daybreak, or during the ages of 2 through 5. As we proceed on now to rising sun, which is from ages 6 to 12. At this stage, health is achieved still through exercise and healthy eating practices. And the child at this point develops greater self-identity and an understanding of how Africans fit in the world, including world history and the future, and how each of us contributes to the life of our community. So therefore, the child then can begin to be taught at this stage that it is important to be healthy and strong to prepare for his or her future role in the community. This also helps to develop a feeling of belonging, a feeling of self-worth, and understanding where one connects with the community that in which they find themselves. Now, as we proceed on, again, discussing health at the various stages of life, and this is, again, health in the context of a balance between physical, mental, and spiritual self. At the early morning stage, early morning sun stage, which is between the ages of 13 and 15. At this point, emotional health is further developed as the child seeks excellence while avoiding the need for perfectionism that may lead to a sense of feeling not good enough. So in other words, the element of balance that Ma'at brings is a manifestation of health at this stage. Feeling that one has something to contribute, and it is important to seek excellence in those things that one contributes to the community and to the African family, and understanding that each person is always enough. And so kind of reinforcing that at this stage becomes important at that kind of early adolescent stage. And then as we move on into later adolescence, or late morning sun, between the ages of 16 and 20, then at this stage, this is where the adolescent is preparing for warriorship. And that's both in a physical, mental, and the spiritual sense. Protection in the physical level may be necessary at the next stage. And so because of that, it is important that the late morning sun be fortified by exercise on a regular basis, by healthy eating practices. And that proposes, they're doing that then for the purpose of becoming physically strong, again, for the next stage in development. So this stage is preparation also involves continued deep study, because this is the base period for learning to protect, support, and maintain African culture. So remember, in this next stage where we're talking about warriorship in the African sense goes beyond the physical warriorship that we often think about, but also that that kind of being keepers of culture and being able to, and defending culture from a social and a spiritual sense as well. And so that then brings me on to the noonday sun, which is in between the ages of 21 and 30. And this is the stabilizing warriorship stage. So during this time, it's a period of high physical energy. So being mindful of and deliberate about the need for maintaining balance again between the physical, mental, and spiritual aspects of health is essential. This balance is important in part because this is also a stage during which preparation for conception and often conception occurs. So again, during this time is when, physical strength is often at its peak. And so the importance of exercise and nutrition remain important, but it's also important at this point to establish that balance and understanding, that development of nurturing and understanding of self, and developing that mental and emotional strength along with the spiritual strength, that all is a part of complete health, is important, so that one doesn't outweigh the other. So now as we're moving into the next phase of life, which is early afternoon in the ages of 31 to 40, during this stage, this is a stage of warriorship and preparation for nation building. And so during this time, maintaining health through purity of thoughts is essential, because it is during this time which all doubt must be eliminated regarding the clarity of purpose, in order to establish and institutionalize the steps toward Pan-African unity and nationhood. So again, remember, each of these steps is a preparation for the next step in those things, whether we're talking about having a greater knowledge of self, whether we're talking about the ways in which we're developing ourselves mentally, spiritually, and physically. Each one is a stepping stone to the next. And so it's essential to capture those things that are necessary at each stage in order to be well prepared for the next. And so that next stage, as I mentioned, is late afternoon, between the ages of 41 and 54. And during this nation building stage, endurance and resourcefulness are centralizing principles. Health at this stage is often viewed clinically. We're beginning to think of it more clinically in some instance, because this is also the stage during which some of the chronic diseases that we talked about yesterday begin to surface. So as such, it really underscores the importance of those healthy practices that we talked about, and that we've talked about being reinforced at each of the previous stages. And it becomes that becomes even more important. So as you recall yesterday, we talked about that it is the balance that can serve to, in some cases, prevent, and in other cases, minimize complications from these chronic diseases that sometimes can manifest during this age group. So at this stage, consuming fruits and vegetables grown in the home and in community gardens is an example of maintaining health. As an example, and it also is an example of a tangible benefit of the nation builder's work. So in other words, a community garden is an example of a community sustaining institution that would be the responsibility of the nation builder in terms of developing that and helping to sustain it. And so the harvest from that garden, while being primarily nourishing prior to this stage of development, can also be therapeutic for this stage of development and beyond. Nutrition is only one part of health maintenance, as we discussed yesterday. And so just as a review, we'll remember that health maintenance practices included a balanced diet that's rich in fresh fruits and vegetables, low in sugar, low in salt, drinking plenty of water, exercising, getting adequate rest on a regular basis, and stress reduction, avoidance, or mitigation. And so, those are practices, again, that are important really at each of the subsequent stages of life. So I won't spend a lot of time talking about it during the subsequent stages of life, but those are all going to be important as it relates to health. And I'll talk about each of those stages a little bit more as we delve into to wealth and wisdom. So wealth, as you remember, I also described that or defined that as strength of the collective and our spiritual power, or Heka. And so here it becomes useful for us to discuss the teams, the various distinct teams that were described in being healthy and wealthy. And so you'll remember that in dawning day, or that period between preconception, birth, and the first year of life, that the birthing support team is very important during that time. And that birthing support team was responsible for preparing a couple spiritually for conception, for aiding a couple with maintaining healthy practices, and for helping a new infant to establish a sense of trust. Such that he or she feels a sense of, begins to feel a sense of belonging. That is in many ways one of the goals of the first year of life, is to begin to establish trust. And so that birthing support team during the dawning day phase serves a major and a critical role in helping to establish that. And then as we move on to daybreak, the ages between 2 and 5, as we consider wealth in the context of that being our collective strength, or the strength of the collective and our spiritual power that brings. So in daybreak, the birthing support team then transitions into becoming what was called in the book the development team. And so at this stage, the development team, and both the child and the team, acknowledges that their role is in nurturance and support and care, teaching, directing, monitoring, and rewarding the child. And so again, I mentioned that both the team and the child understand the importance of the team's role in serving each of those functions. So there's a willingness to give and provide those functions, and there's a willingness to receive on the part of the daybreak, that child that's between the ages of 2 and 5, in receiving each of those elements from that support team. From the development team. So the team more overtly demonstrates the idea that the village raises the child. And so the development team then at this stage helps with teaching things as basic as naming body parts or objects in the home, things that they observe in nature, such as trees, flowers, grass, etc. But they do that. They do so with reverence, to help the child to have a sense of the divinity in each natural thing, and it helps the child then to begin to understand and respect righteous authority, or have a respect for their elders. So this is a very important lesson to learn during this stage in life. Now, as we move on into righteous son as it relates to wealth, and again, we're discussing wealth in a way that is not often discussed. Often when we think about wealth, we're thinking about monetary or fiscal wealth, or gathering of things. But again, I want us to think about the wealth of the collective, and that's the context, the reason why I'm discussing it in the context of these teams that are described in being healthy and wealthy. So at the ages then of 6 and 12, this is the rising sun stage. At this point, we're continuing to extend upon the role of the development team. And this is along with the child's parents, who continue to promote healthy socialization of the child. This is a stage when continued identity development occurs, and the development team helps the child to better establish a sense of purpose. Which is important because, as Dr. Hilliard discusses in Seba, he says that the African ancient socialization processes show us that communities can function and be productive when everyone, young and old, has a sense of purpose and value that contributes to the community's well-being. So this is the time during which the child between the ages of 6 and 12 begins to bring into better focus their purpose as it relates to the community, and that helps to foster then the well-being of the community for everybody's good. So during this time, teaching of principles such as Kujichagulia, or self-determination, Ujima, or collective work and responsibility, and Ujamaa, or cooperative economics, are all useful during this stage. Now, as we progress forward through the stages of life, and we're at the morning sun stage between the ages again of 13 and 15, it's during this stage that the development team helps to bring the child to helps the child to further claim and reinforce his or her identity and social consciousness. This is, further development. Again, we talked yesterday about the African self-consciousness that Dr. Cambone talked about. And this is, again, has been developing over time at each of these stages. During each of these stages where stories were being told, where historical figures or historical occurrences were being taught to the child at each of those stages of development, that was all part of establishing and building that African self-consciousness that's important for each of us to have, because it creates a lens through which we can view the world and understand what our role is in it. So then at this stage, then, as I mentioned, they help the child to further claim and reinforce his or her identity and social consciousness. The child at this stage then is seeking a place of being. So the development team really plays a critical role in offering guidance that helps him or her to find it. So as stated in Healthy and Wealthy, and I quote, "The question of who I am or who am I must be settled once and for all during this stage." Helping the early morning sun continue to build upon knowledge of self is key, because this knowledge is key to loving oneself. Now, as we progress on to, again, the late adolescent stage, or the late morning sun between the ages of 16 and 20, given the nature of this stage of development, the support team transitions more to one of coaching. So again, we had started with the birthing support team, and then on to the development team, and now the team is transitioning into one of coaching. So we have the coaching team at this point, and they serve as a guide through this and the next stages of development, and they serve to promote and nurture, provide structured encouragement. They present instruction. They're available. They're available for guidance, and they assist in problem-solving techniques. During these periods, they reinforce excellence. They reinforce knowledge of the importance of knowledge of self and the importance of family and community development as a goal for all endeavors. They reinforce the importance of spiritual development on African principles and the spirit of self as an extension of parents, peers, and elders. So, remember again, understanding as a foundation that the team was helping with the child's kind of self-identity, understanding very basic elements of, who they are, just even from just a physical element. And then kind of understanding nature and those things that are outside of themselves, understanding events and things of that nature. And now beginning to develop this respect for self as an extension of others. So this then becomes more, how am I a reflection of my parents? How am I a reflection of my peers? How am I reflecting my people and my elders? And that becomes very important at that stage. And that is carried on even through the next stage of development as well. Now the next stage that I'm highlighting just some of the stages. I won't touch on every one at each of these descriptions, but I'm just highlighting some of them at some select stages of development. So if we jump ahead then to the early afternoon stage of life, or phase of life during the ages between 31 and 40, it's during this stage that recognizing that the reclaiming of our cultural values, family development procedures, economic processes, spiritual systems, and utilization of land are fundamental to our health, to our growth, and to our liberation. And so the early son then understands that implementing African family life transitions and values through an organized institutional approach is necessary. He or she has been prepared to begin this implementation during the previous stages of development with the assistance of the birthing team, birthing support team, the development team, and then the coaching teams. And so, for example, the trust has been established, earlier during that first year of life. Character development has been ongoing, but began, even in that next stage of life between the ages of 2 and 5, and then carried on through ages of 6 through 12, especially. And then an understanding of of the African's place in the world. These all have been taught and reinforced at each of the successive stages of life. And now at this point, they've established also an ongoing process of deep thought and deep study, which have been foundational to success at each of those levels of development. And each of those are necessary become necessary then at the next stage, which is then at the nation building stage, or the late afternoon sun stage. Again, just as a reminder, this is between the ages of 41 and 54. Now, even at this stage, a support team is necessary. And at this point, the team includes at least an elder, at least one elder, at least one peer, and an early afternoon sun as a rising sun. Now here, the intergenerational nature of the team becomes clear, and it's articulated in the text in a way that it wasn't articulated before, but it's also important for us to be clear that although it wasn't previously mentioned, that we can see now that all along there was reciprocity occurring. So it's been at practice in each of these teams. So for example, while the rising sun is being nurtured through the development team, he or she is also providing support and receiving lessons through intergenerational exchange with other members of the late afternoon sun support team. So we see that Ma'at is at play in reciprocity through this process. So the role of the community at large is also stressed during this stage as part of the late afternoon sun comprehensive assessment of his or her readiness for this and the next stages of development. So while he or she performs a self-assessment of preparation, he or she should also seek and acknowledge and act upon the assessment and evaluation of the community. And I know that this is an area that sometimes can be difficult for us, as we've not always been taught to receive this type of an evaluation or an assessment from the community as a step in growth. But rather, when we see this type of an evaluation, particularly when it's corrective, we've also often been taught to believe that it's critical. It's sometimes will signal or stimulate defensiveness, and therefore stunt rather than promote growth. And so what is described in the text that we're lifting up this morning is that it is very important both to do a self-assessment and to seek the assessment and the evaluation from the community, because again, the purpose of our existence is for the benefit of the community. So we want to be sure that all of our actions and each stage of the development is for the purpose, for positive purposes for our people. So again, during this nation building stage, it is essential that that we continue to do this ongoing evaluation and adjustment during this nation building stage when we're building and sustaining institutions. And so then as we move on to the waning sun and beyond, at this point, that cross-generational support team is very important. They play a key role during these stages in ensuring that the waning sun, that the settings and that the setting sun are prepared for any of the physical limitations that he or she might experience due to either the natural aging or ailments that may occur during this stage of life. And the purpose of the team is also to reinforce the value of the waning sun as a functional library, recognizing that they are in fact libraries and a source of wisdom to the community. And they do this by regularly seeking counsel from the waning sun and from the setting sun. And I'll move in now to a discussion of wisdom, which, as we defined, as you recall, that we're framing this as the ideas and thoughts that are principle based, that are spirit guided, and that are experience informed, that drive the counsel that one ultimately is able to provide in the decisions that we make or actions that we take. So at the dawning day stage, recognizing that the baby's cries are a form of speech, that conveys messages of basic needs like feeding or sleeping or the need to be cleaned, but also recognizing that a baby's cries as well may communicate the need for attention or the need for connection or the need for bonding. And so it's important to respond to their speech with meaningful language, not with babble or baby talk that some people use with young ones at that age. It's important at this stage that storytelling, showing pictures, singing songs with positive and instructive messages be utilized to feed into the spirit of the Watoto at this age. And so again, this is the dawning days. This is from that age of conception through the 1 year of life. Now then, as we move into daybreak, so the ages 2 to 5, that growth and development of the child is based on we want to make sure that it's based in the Nguzo Saba and Ma'at. So it must be further emphasized that at this stage, and I'll back up for just a moment before I move on to kind of give some concrete examples on that. So during this stage, there are some basic things, like I can give an example of when we were growing up, that the idea of Kuumba or creativity, or leaving things more beautiful and beneficial than when we inherited it. When we came downstairs to have breakfast or what have you, then my parents would ask, "Did you practice Kuumba this morning?" And that meant that you leave your room clean and neat. So that's one of the ways to reinforce some of the principles that we of the Nguzo Saba, for example. And then I'll talk a bit about some of the principles of Ma'at and ways in which they can be reinforced in just a moment. So it can be further emphasized then that at this stage, that as Dr. Hilliard discusses throughout his writing, that a key element of a child's development is socialization that's built on a spiritual foundation. In Seba, the reawakening of the African mind, he reminds us that in paradigmatic African societies, that spirituality could not be separated from education, science, politics, health, nature, culture, or anything else that is present in society. And so this makes it very clear the spiritual foundation of developing wisdom in a child or teaching a child. And so Ma'at then for a child at this stage in development can be demonstrated through elements of order. So for example, even in this kind of dovetails, even the example that I gave before dovetails into this in the sense that, one of the order can be taught in things like guiding the child to clean up after him or herself after they've played a game or they've played with toys. The element of balance can be taught through teaching that there's a time for everything. So things like a scheduled time for going to bed and a scheduled time for waking up is a way to teach that balance in terms of each thing having its proper place and time. So these are all very concrete ways that wisdom development can occur even at that stage in life. And then as we move on then to the stage of the rising sun, this is where character building becomes even more of a focus. So the processes of discipline, justice, and order are developed during this stage. And through the development of respect for self, others, and nature, the rising sun then begins to develop and maintain appropriate connections with everything in the universe. So you remember in the earlier stages that the child recognized the divinity in all natural things. And here now the child begins to better understand the spiritual connection with all things. So they recognize that it exists. Now at this stage are recognizing that there's a connection with all of these things, and it's on the spiritual level that we're connected. So we note that progression. Now, also during this stage, the process of justice through a righteous love and genuine care for oneself and others is developed. The process of order during this stage is developed through the child establishing a commitment to be African in all aspects of being. And they begin to then evaluate and assess all experiences that that make such that they make righteous and wise decisions. You remember I lifted yesterday in that discussion Dr. Marimba Ani's reminder to us to do what's good for African people. And so this is an example of how we do that. As the child kind of has established their commitment to be African, then they use that again as a lens to evaluate each of their actions to make sure that what we're doing at this stage is in fact good for African people, and that allows their decisions to be both righteous and wise. At this point also, they then accept accountability for both their commitment to African people and the decisions that they make in relationship to African people. And this is a critical element of character development, which sometimes is difficult. So we must be very deliberate in establishing this stage, or establishing kind of self-accountability at this stage. Now, from there, we'll move on to the early morning sun between the ages of 13 and 15. And it's during, remember where in the earlier stages, the child recognized the divinity in all things again, and then the connection to all natural things. And now during this stage, the goal is for the child to recognize the creator or the divine as the power within, and to know that whatever creative forces might be outside of myself, that I have the ability to tap into them in a harmonious way. So that becomes very important to recognize that. And so, and this too is in a sense a further extension of that character development and understanding that there may be some things that are outside of me that I've not yet mastered, but I have the ability to tap into them through the divine. I have a divine ability to tap into those other elements of character development that are important as I seek to be wise. So now we move on into the rising sun, and again, that's between the ages of 16 and 20. And it's during this stage that spiritual power, or Heka, as our ancient Kemetic ancestors called it, is being cultivated. So this is occurring as the adolescent begins to further understand the relationship to their ancestors, to our ancestors, and to the yet unborn, or to future generations. Ma'at is reinforced during this stage, which is essential because you remember that this is also the stage when the adolescent is increasing in physical strength. So becoming more physically strong while reinforcing Ma'at at this phase prepares one to move into warriorship, which is the next stage of development, with a well-developed sense of right over might. So this avoids that kind of sense of, well, I'm so strong, I'm so mighty, so that I had some power over you, but rather in a very principled way to understand that right must always rule over might, or kind of having control of thoughts, and then control of action following that. So it's essential that that be developed and then carried out throughout warriorship during the next stages of life. I'm going to skip ahead to early afternoon sun, the ages of 31 to 40. And it's at this stage then that it's important to understand that virtuosity and divinity of our Kemetic ancestors is what provided the mental substance to achieve perfection and godliness. And to learn tactics and strategies that were employed by our ancestors to return to our natural state. It's also important at this point to share this understanding with our peers and with subsequent generations. And so this again is further sharpening the axe, so to speak, or further developing character, further developing that sense of responsibility to each other and decisions that we make that are good for the whole. It's also important at this stage that we begin to be examples to others by practicing what we preach, demonstrating good speech or medunefer, avoiding tef or idle chatter. And then as we continue along this stage of developing good speech, of developing medunefer, then we continue towards what ultimately is the goal, towards divine speech or medunefer. And then as we move ahead and we're moving further to each of the later stages in development. Now we're at late afternoon sun. And at this stage, again, as we're thinking about wisdom, spiritual strength as a building block of wisdom is specifically cultivated during this period. And that's through the exchange with the support team, again. The late afternoon sun accepts and solidifies the need to seek guidance and direction from the creator, ancestors, and elders that utilize the Nguzo Saba and principles of Ma'at as standards for decision making, and using African historiography for structural direction, for mental guidance, and for spiritual power. So again, remembering that, understanding our African history through the eyes of Africans, and in the context of an African centeredness becomes important as we begin to build the ability to provide guidance and spiritual power, which becomes even greater and increasingly important in these next couple of stages of life. So in the waning sun, then, which again is between the ages of 55 and 65, that this is a period that requires great discipline. So you remember during the previous stages that we were developing for the purpose of doing, and then we were in the nation builder stage doing, and then as we move on into the waning sun stage, we're beginning to shift then into a role of guidance. It requires a great deal of discipline. As the nation builder, again, as I mentioned, moves into early eldership now at this point, she transitions begins to transition to a role of support, of guidance, of nurturing to the entire community. While until this time, he or she, as I mentioned, was more accustomed to being the doers in community development and in institutional building initiatives. So this is a stage, however, when leadership is demonstrated differently. Through providing wise counsel. And having built upon previous stages of development, wisdom then at this point is demonstrated through active, reflective, and spiritual guidance on a foundation of Ma'at. So it's important, therefore, that an internalization of Ma'ashian principles would already have been internalized. Because really all advice and direction at this stage should be aimed at facilitating justice, harmony, and order, and minimizing isfet and confusion. This also means a recognition that balance in the universe, because of balance in the universe, that isfet will always exist. But we should be aiming to be wise handlers of it. So mastery of understanding then at this point extends into the next stage of development. And then at this next stage of development, or the setting sun, the ages of 66 and beyond, this is a time during which spiritual consciousness intervenes in all physical and human activities. During this time, while it was important at every stage of development, an emphasis is placed on spiritual consciousness, spiritual enlightenment, spiritual discernment, and spiritual reflections, and as well as crystallizing a legacy. So as such, a well-developed setting sun is able to provide guidance through a highly spiritual lens, and his or her counsel should be sought and studied regularly. And most important, it should be acted upon. And so, as we move beyond, then we also just, want to acknowledge the transition and beyond. So we recognize at this point the omnipresence of the African family in the physical form, as well as in the ancestral form. So remember, in the discussion of transition and beyond, we're talking about the ancestral form. And it's important to recognize that and to continue to call the names of the ancestors as we seek their guidance, recognizing their constant presence among us as we build for eternity. And so again, so through this discussion, what I've tried to do is to walk us through each of the stages of life that were spelled out and described in being healthy and wealthy in the context of health, wealth, and wisdom at each of those stages. And so I will close with that. And I don't know if we are opening for questions or if that will come in the on August 23rd. I'm not sure how we want to do that.
It'll be on the 23rd. But go ahead, Elder Alona.
No, I was just going to say, we usually have our conversation, and I have 2 pages of notes. We have a lot of things that we will want to talk about, but that will be on August 23rd.
Okay.
We have I shouldn't say we, but I think I speak for all. I have thoroughly enjoyed your presentation. Thank you, thank you, thank you. There are many things in here we will want to talk about, many things in here we want to find within our community. And we really appreciate the examples. Quite often, what we'll have is text and things we should do, but trying to take it from this is what is written to this is what we do is really important. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Asante Sane for that. We'll move to Elder Phyllis. We're talking through our offering. Elder Phyllis, can you come off of mute? Maybe. Well, she's probably working in Nation Builder Hatem. Are you running the
It's been running the whole time. It's still running right now, right up underneath. Family, you could join the Tawi Family Village. You could donate at paypal.me/Tawi Family. And also, my fault, /Tawi Family Village is right on the bottom of your screen now. Or you go to the Cash app at Cash Tawi Family Village. So there we go. It's right at the bottom of the screen. Just follow the instructions. So let me get back to so that they can see y'all on the screen.
Okay. And those it goes to support the things we try and do in the Tawi Family Village. It supports our youth. It supports our programming. It is 501. We are 501c3. So it may support you with your taxes. Ask your tax professional like CompoTax. Well, thank you very much for your donations. Elder Phil, can you read our pledge to Ma'at?
He will have to unmute his mic because I muted all the mics so there wouldn't be no feedback. So anybody that want to speak right now, when you are called upon, you have to go and unmute your mic.
Okay.
This is Kwame. Just wanted to give thanks to you, Sister Reeve. I am full. And look forward to the 23rd, where we might be able to dive in, as Elder Alona implied. So again, dua.
The pledge to Ma'at. I'll read it for Elder Phil on his behalf. Ma'at is great, its value is lasting. It has remained unchanged and unequal since the time of its creator. It is a plain path, even for the ignorant. Those who violate its laws are punished. Ma'at urges moral excellence in all one does, so no fault can be found in your character. Ma'at is truth. Ma'at is justice. Ma'at is righteousness. Ma'at is balance. Ma'at is order. Ma'at is harmony. Ma'at is reciprocity. Do that which is right, that you may live long on earth. Think Ma'at, speak Ma'at, do Ma'at in secular and sacred situations. Ma'at will ensure a mutually beneficial community and everlasting life. Shem Hotep. Hatem, do we, Brother Kwame, to do Nefer now while you run your pictures and the music?
Are you let him do Nefer now? Because you know this is a long song. It's a song from an album that we did from Afrocentric Personal Development Shop, led by, it's called We Are Africans. What are Africans? Geniuses, based on Dr. Kelsey's poem. So it's very long. It's about 7 minutes. So go on, do the Medu for now, because you know all of y'all old and y'all might be asleep by the time the song get over. I'm just saying.
Okay. So, Brother Nation Builder Kwame.
Well, his sister would say y'all at the setting sun. Many of y'all at the setting sun right now.
Such a kind man.
Speaking of the setting sun, I'd like to pull from Ani. We pour a libation for our mothers and fathers who rest in the valley of the West. We say that the Most High will witness our actions and accept them. We are asked not to forget this, even when we are far away from home. For as we do for those who've gone before us, our children will do for us. And as Brother Hatem often reminds us, we sweat blood, we sweat blood, we sweat blood, sweat, and tears. We sweat blood, we sweat blood, we sweat blood, sweat, and tears. Those are forms of libation. Let yours, let not mine go to waste. Ashe.
Brother, thank you. Brother Hatem, before you play the music, I'd like for you to acknowledge our Baba and Mama, please.
Coming to the stage. We got Elder Mariba, and well, we got a lot of doctors in the house. We got Doctor and Mrs. Doctor. I don't know how you say it, Kelsey, in the house, and they're sitting up, and I'm gonna put them on the screen real quick. Doc, y'all gonna have to unsilence your mic if you want to address the village, but give me 1 second so I can make sure that y'all up and are prominent in the screen. I need to go to the Tawi screen. Where's it at? There it go. All right, cool. Boom. Pull it over. Hold on. 1 more second. And I will do. All right, there we go. I'm gonna click you on. Bow. Hold on. Let me change the whole setting here, so we can make sure we get them right. There we go. All right. Boom. Spotlight. All right. Let me move to. There we go. See, Doc is up on it because he already got his stuff up. All right. I got. Is your mic on? Oh, we still can't hear you. Y'all got to unmute your mic. I can't unmute. Oh, man, y'all having the same problem that Tony had. Oh, God. Lord have mercy. But y'all looking good. Go ahead. I'll try to read your lips. Go on, say something. I'm going to read. I'm just joking. I can't do that. But for some reason, the mic is not on. Oh, my God. Oh, Lord. Their mics is not on, Elder Alona. So
okay.
They waving at us. We
They're
got the wave.
Yes, they're smiling. They're happy. They have a beautiful daughter. All is good. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you. We really appreciate that.
I'm gonna work the mechanical the electronic glitches out as time goes on. We still new at this process, but we ahead of a lot of other groups. So hey, what's next, Elder?
Now we can go on to our song and music. Will you come back and tell us when it's over?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Y'all, if y'all gonna talk in between, y'all, hey.
We can't, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can. I mean, but they're going to hear, be careful what you talk about.
That's right.
Y'all still, the mic is still hot. Don't do a Donald Trump or Jesse Jackson while we on here.
Hotep, my brothers and sisters. This is Prince Khalifa. I give honor to my creator and to my ancestors by virtue of this message. Guide and direct my voice so that those who hear will listen. We are chained psychologically and economically, bounded by shame and guilt. We have fed all others on the breast of our mother's milk, while ours have grown of malnutrition and loss. We must eat our culture, our history, and our traditions, for they lead us, guide us, and bind us to freedom. Africans, mighty ones, we were created by God to be supermen and women. We were made into mortals by our captors. We are becoming again what God intended us to be. Africans, geniuses, gods of the earth, in sync with the universe. Since the beginning of time, Africans have been doing the impossible, using mind over matter, spirit over mind, tapping into the divine, so that now is the time of this day in mind to discuss our rise, which will free all African minds, allowing the divine to shine, the divine to shine, the divine to shine. Studying my culture, my history, and my land, because I know that in order to overcome my enemies outside, I must overcome the one that resides on the inside. Studying my culture, but how can I see to help my sisters and brothers be free if I can't see for my own inner enemy? Physician, heal thyself. Heal thyself. Heal thyself.
What are we, Africans?
you are. I am not alarmed when I see my brothers and sisters willing, stilling, dealing, killing and killing people looking just like them. Cause I know the niggas were made and Africans were created. Africans were created. Africans were created.
Ooh, African geniuses. What are we, Africans? What are Africans?
Niggas were made to meet the needs for slaves. It's an economic thing, you must understand. But now that the job is done, it's up to us to stop what the slave master has begun. For bondage is in our minds and controls how we see with our own eyes. So blame not your sister and brothers. Instead, love unconditionally one another. For this is the medicine that will heal and bind us together, because it is up to us if we're going to get any better. Africans are created in the image of the Creator, arriving here whole and complete, in sync with the universe, and one with the natural forces of the earth. Truth, justice, righteousness, balance, and order are always in effect, and when you know who you are, you will regurgitate the rest. We can never be separated from the Creator. That's a lie at best. So hear the truth. Let go the rest. Africans were created and niggas were made. Africans were created and niggas were made. Psalms 82 verse 5 and 6. They know not, neither do they understand. They walk about in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course. I have said, you are gods, and all of you are the children of the Most High God. Hotep.
It is over. The song went off. I see the elders trying to slip out. Hold on, don't try to slip out now. Oh, it started over. Hold on, let me stop it. Oh, Lord.
Wait a minute. The Lord will have mercy. Can you hear me?
What is it?
You can hear me now?
Oh, I can hear you now.
See, y'all have did something.
You're only an hour late.
I've been on all the time.
You've been on the whole time, but
that's right.
Now your sound is working.
No, you got it working. It's you. It's you.
Help me. Somebody help me.
Unidentified object, huh, Tim?
I wanted to let you know that, because I was playing the whole time. I was like, I even talked to Elder Kelsey. We saw them and stuff. Their sound wasn't working. It's some kind of button.
Yeah, y'all gotta push the buttons. We gonna get y'all together.
I got all my buttons pushed. If you had a button over there, you push.
I know.
You've been talking stuff.
I ain't want nobody to interrupt Sister Reba's stuff, Dr. Reba's stuff. You know, because
we know that. You just got you just got smitten. That's all there is to that. Can you see this thing here that I'm showing you?
All I see is you.
You don't see anything else?
I see
What about now?
Now I can. What is that?
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, anyway, we'll talk about it later. So you can hear me now and see me.
So why don't you go and drum us out?
It's the alphabet. Oh, yeah, sure. Hold on a second. It's the alphabet people. All right, here we go. Now, you know each of the principles and stages in Elder Kelsey's book, we have a rhythm for. We're not talking about that now, but later. Aye, hey, Banga lapia, ashe ashe. Banga lapia, ashe ashe. Banga lapia, ashe ashe. Banga lapia, ashe. I'll break it down. Thank you.
All right.
I
Thank you,
put him on
Bobby.
the table. Well, see y'all later, alligator.
Yeah, this is when we usually eat. So I ain't got it in
That's
the
right.
budget to order Uber Eats for everybody.
Yeah, we're gonna do that. We're gonna do that.
We should do
We're
that
gonna do
one
that for the
time.
divine conversation.
But we working on it. We building it. So family, I want
Hey,
to
this
apologize for the confusion. Now the talks for tomorrow, which is Umoja, for Ujima, Ujima, Nia, and Kuumba will all be coming through a link. I will send a link, and you'll be able to, hopefully by that time, see it on gnjmedia.live. But the discussion and watching of John Henry Clark's movie will take place on the platform we are right now. And hopefully we'll keep the same link. So those that want to join us, we won't be streaming that because we don't want to get the hits, but we will be able to watch Great and Mighty Walk and have a powerful discussion and bring this new year in right, and then move from there. That's all I got to say.
right.
That's on the 4th, though, right, bro?
Yes. Yes.
Talking
And
about
Yeah.
the
remember,
great and mighty walk.
and
The Great
remember,
and
we
Mighty
got
Walk is on Coogee. If Coogee is the fourth, then that's when it's going to
yeah,
happen. Y'all,
and
y'all need to,
remember, we
keep
got
me abreast because
to
y'all already know how I am. Because I'm about to get in here and
no,
start editing video and
well,
creating
we
some
got
whole new stuff.
don't forget we got some of our young folks who will be
Right.
doing 7 o'clock
Now,
presentations.
the 7 o'clock presentations, they will be on a link that I'm going to send out where they won't be disturbed, but they'll be able to see. It'll be the same link that we used for Sister Reba yesterday, because I want them to be able to talk. And if people have questions or comments, they can post them on the side so that they can
That's
ask
good.
directly. But they will be able to stream without the feedback or any of that. The only reason I don't like using this is because sometimes people forget to mute their mic, and it be feedback. Like right now, it's on right now.
Right. That's good.
But let's go. So, did we finish?
Yep.
Yes, we
All right.
did.
So what I'm gonna do
Yes.
is I'm gonna play a commercial over on that end, and we can keep on talking on this end as long as y'all want.
And I'm gonna put up the piece for the eighth. I'm gonna run it through, make sure all the spelling and stuff is correct, and I'm gonna put that up
What is
and
a
like see it
lion without
over
his
in the park.
pride? What is a
But we'll
whale
meet at in
without
the
his
morning
pride?
at sunrise.
What is a
Now
monkey
we'll talk
without his
about it. The
truth?
sunrise over in
What
our
is a wolf
regular
without his pack?
sunrise spot because
The
we didn't get a
answer is
chance to talk
very
about that
simple.
this morning, but we'll
They
talk.
are the
And I'll
same
get that to you.
thing that a
Thanks
human being
for
is without a tribe.
you nation builders, patience and wisdom and stuff that y'all are doing this to Kwame and all of y'all. Thank you very much.
Pray.
Thank you, Bob.
Tim and
Thank
Kwame
you.
and
That's
all of y'all.
good.
Thank you. Yeah, and then we have other nation builders. I saw that was on the broadcast, but somehow they wasn't visible. But
No,
thanks to all of y'all.
it was a lot of people watching,
That's right.
and they got it. And if not, we're gonna be able to rebroadcast, and it'll be up on the internet. You know what
Now
I'm saying?
for all of y'all that are on the phone right now, thank you very much for that. We will be moving into the ritual phase. We already have started that tomorrow for sure because of this great ritual phase class. We got to stop it yet. We'll talk about tomorrow. Thank you very much, Mama Mona, and all of y'all. Kwame, Tim, and all pulling this together. Where did Elder Bowie go? Was he still there?
He might be muted, so it's gonna take him a second to go and figure out how to
Okay.
get it
Well,
off.
anyway, thank all of y'all, and we